Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations Radio. I'm your host, Steve Matley. Today, we are in the studio with CJ Gilbert. He is helping us navigate the jungle that is the internet and talking to us about our business website. When we left, we were talking about keywords, and that's all good, but I'm curious how to use those keywords to actually make more sales, because if I'm a business person, the reason I put the website out there was trying to bring customers in. So how do I convert that into actual sales?
Absolutely. We mentioned earlier about your goals. You could have the goal to make more sales with your website. I would believe that that is most people's number one goal for most people. And if you want to make more sales with your website, I want you to remember this one phrase: people choose the familiar. People choose the familiar. We talked earlier about what a great opportunity you have to essentially be part of that sales process, but they're in their own home or office environment. They feel comfortable. They don't have that wall of sales resistance up. And so they're open to learning more about you. Now is the time where you want to let them get to know you. You want to have videos, you want to have photos, great high quality photos and videos. Really let them get to know you. Let them, whatever's appropriate for business, let them meet your staff, let them see your office, let them see pictures of the products, or if you have services, pictures that relate to the services. All of those things feed in to them building a familiar feeling for you. And when people are ready to make their buying decision, they rely on that feeling. We used to think that people made a buying decision based entirely off of logic and facts and reason. And now we know that's not true at all. People make their decisions completely based on how they feel.
Human beings are absolute emotional creatures, and we throw enough facts and statistics in to let us delude ourselves into thinking that we were logical when we made the decision.
Exactly.
Because we don't want to admit that we made that decision strictly off of a feeling.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
So
we want to think we're better than that.
on your website, you want to do both. You want to give them the facts, you want to give them the figures and the details, but you also want to remember that we're talking to human people and they need to get to know you on that deeper level.
And that goes down to the number one feeling is trust. People do business with who they know, like, and trust. And in a cyber business, if you're doing things remotely, that's a lot harder to do than when I meet you and talk to you on a regular basis if I'm across the table from you. So we have to do something, and that's where you said people choose the familiar. The familiar becomes what we trust.
That's right.
It becomes what we know. It becomes the comfortable. And people like to stay where it's comfortable. We don't like risk. We don't like uncertainty. We don't like anxiety.
Yeah, and I think that a mistake that people make very commonly is thinking that their website is all about them. And what I always want you to remember is that your website is really all about your customer.
Now, we keep hearing, though, that it's about you, and if this is what the branding, or you got to brand yourself.
Sure.
Make sure you brand yourself. And your brand really is kind of your reputation that's out there, right, that you kind of manufacture. And so that would make it think like it's about yourself. But I work at a college, too, and we do a lot of students, and I tell them, don't think when you go to apply for a job that the interview is about you. Sure, it's your resume. And they keep asking questions about you and your experience and your education and what you think about this and what you think about that and how would you handle the situation. It's not about you. It's about the company and their current need. See, they have a job to fill and they don't want to have to do it again. And they want to make sure that the person they bring in is a good fit, not a high maintenance person, isn't going to leave anytime soon, isn't going to be whiny or complainy, isn't going to show up on time. So it's about what you're bringing to them. It's not really about you at all. And I think the same thing with the website.
Same thing.
It's not about you. It's about the customer you're trying to reach. But we're being told, well, it's all about your branding, so it must be about you.
Right. Again, all of these things, in my opinion, have to do with your customer and what your customer is perceiving as what's important to them. So I have to argue with the business owner that wants to make it all about them. And then I also have to argue with the business owner that doesn't want anything about them on their website. And to both of these people, I have to say, it's all about your customer and what they want. They want to make sure that they're doing business with someone that has a good reputation, that is knowledgeable, that has the right certifications or education or whatever those criteria are that make you feel like you're doing business with someone that's respected and can take care of your needs. So you absolutely want to have a modern website, a professional website, make it look like you're up to date. You want that clear brand identity, not because of who you are as a company, but for the clarity of mind that it gives to your customer, that they know who they're working with and that they're making a good decision.
Yes, and like I said, the website that my company has, I have two companies, but the company that I do the land investing with, it's got information about myself and my two partners. It's not about who we are. It's about the people, before they give us any money, would like to know who the heck we are.
Exactly.
And they want to know, now that I know this, can I find them? Can I go search them? Can I do Google searches and see what dirt I can pull up on them, right?
Exactly.
They want to find out, did they just get indicted last week or what was right? So they want to know these things.
Yeah.
There's project information. That's not to brag. That's so they can see this is what we do and this is how things turn out. And we do videos and education because we know our customers don't always understand what we're doing. So they need to be educated. And the whole idea is this is a starting point to educate yourself. Now, if I want to get going on this, what's my next step? How do I start with this?
That's a great question, and it's a question your customer is going to have. You want to be very clear on your website what's the next step for them to take. It could be call you, make a phone call, but it could also be some sort of a opt-in or a demo or a free trial.
So an action item. So they go to your website and there's some type of action there.
Absolutely. You want that call to action to be, again, whatever's appropriate to you.
Now I know some websites, they'll do this and it's, put your information in here and we'll get you a free PDF article on something that you may be interested in, right? So is that a good tactic to use?
I think so. Yes. I think that's a win-win proposition because it gives your customer something right away they can sink their teeth into. It gives you an opportunity to continue to speak to them, communicate with them in the form of an email list. I recommend to everybody to have an email list. It's the other thing you can own and control on the internet. And I feel you're getting it through your website, so it's related.
And so one thing you can do with that, if you want to kind of stay, like you say, people like to be voyeuristic a little bit about this and stay in the shadows. You can sign up for that, get the information, and you can always unsubscribe from the emails later.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, we never spam people. The customers I work with, we don't want that. We only want people on our list who want to hear from us, who are excited to hear from us.
I hear the only place they really like spam is in Hawaii. Is that true? If you're ever eaten there. So,
it's delicious.
It is too. So when we're putting all this together, I keep thinking about the basic premise of systems theory, which is your system is always perfectly designed to give you whatever it is producing. Now, what it's producing may be not what you want. It may be producing lower sales, bad reputation, who knows what, right? Poor service.
Right.
But whatever your system is, whatever it's producing, that's what it's designed to do.
Yeah.
So you have to fix the design. So if I have a website and what it's yielding is very few views, it's turning people off instead of turning people on of working with me, it's driving them to my competitors.
Right.
That means that's been designed all wrong.
Yeah. Or it just hasn't been thought about intentionally. My goal for your audience is to consider these ideas and then begin to intentionally use them to make their website better.
Which is redesigning it to work. That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in one way, a website is never done. A website's never done until your business is done. You don't want either one of those to be done until you're ready for them to be done.
So it's not a set it and forget it proposition.
Correct.
I hire somebody, I pay them some money, they put a website up, I'm like, okay, that was good, I'm done. I'm out, right?
Right.
Now I'm just going to sit back and wait for people to show up.
Right. I think instead of that idea, you could have the idea that there's always something you can work on to improve. And maybe this week or month, you want to work on improving your sales. Maybe the next week or month, you want to think about your customer service. But it's one of those things you can always work on one of these pieces and then circle back to it the next time around.
Okay, so improving customer service, that means after the sale, usually, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I'm using the website to get sales, but I actually have that same website, which I'm using for people to access after they've made the transaction.
Right.
And so what do I include on my website to help serve my customers?
Great question. I would love you to consider the overall process that your customer goes through. Certainly it begins with the sales process. What are those steps? What's the first step? Is there a demo? What are the next steps in that transaction that you need? Maybe you need some information from them. Maybe you need them to fill out a form or get some sort of contract or agreements together. Each one of those steps could be a page on your website. Maybe it's not necessarily something they can access by themselves. Maybe they get to the first step and then after your conversation, you send them the next step or two. But that continues through the lifetime of your customer. What happens next? Maybe there's resources you want them to be able to get to, or forms, or so many other things that you can think about. How am I serving my customer? What are the steps I usually take my customer through, and what am I sending to them? We can put all those things on your website so you can either send them the link or just show them what that next step is.
Now, if we do this, and if we do this right, by doing customer service and follow-up and resources, there's also value-add additional sales that we can actually sell more to our customers to make their life better by solving more of their problem. Because maybe we solved an initial problem with the first sale, but now they have other needs around that that need to be filled in. And so I can actually use that for follow-up sales as part of serving my customer well.
Absolutely. Don't they say it's much cheaper to continue to use the current customers you have versus going out to acquire a new customer?
That's right. Well, sometimes when you buy things, there's ancillaries or add-ons you can get for it that make it much more functional. And maybe people test it first, see if we like it, and then we go, I wonder if it can do this. And then they come back, we go through some FAQs, they find out, oh, look, it can.
Yeah.
There's a little add-on I can purchase. And so I can buy that, and now I have more functionality.
Absolutely. That ties back into the education that you were talking about before, right? We're educating our customers about what's possible. Often when someone's coming to your website, they don't know enough about what you do to even know what questions they should be asking. So putting that FAQ on your website is phenomenal. It's probably the number one thing I recommend that everybody include on their website. That, by the way, stands for frequently asked questions. What are those questions that people ask you all the time? Put the answers right there on the site.
Google takes common ones of those, and when you Google something, it shows up
Yes.
questions, right? And there's all these lists of frequently asked questions
Yes.
related to the topic from all kinds of different sources.
Exactly. So include the frequently asked questions. And then, like I mentioned, they may not know what else to add or ask. Include what I call the should be asked questions. If they knew enough, what else would they be asking? By including all that information on an FAQ page, you can increase all of these things, your service, your sales, and your search, because you're able to put keywords onto that page that you may not be including anywhere else on your site.
Great. We're going to have to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some tools and resources that you have available. This is Steve Matley on Building Solid Foundations Radio with my guest, CJ Gilbert. We'll be right back after this.